Hello my dear friends, hope all of you are doing well. So today in this video I will discuss about some problems with the idea of the Lorentz force to get one step ahead with this concept. So let's start. So this is our first problem and it states like compute the work done and the power delivered by the Lorentz force on the particle of the charge q moving with a velocity of v. Calculate the angle between the force and the velocity of the charge particle and also interpret the result. So you can see, we can write that for a charge particle moving in a magnetic field, we can write that the force acting on the charge particle, what it will be, F vector is equal to Q times V cross B. So it is perpendicular to both the direction of the velocity and the magnetic field. So we need to calculate the work done. So the work done by the magnetic field, what it will be, W is equal to integration of F dot dr. So we can write dr vector is equal to F dot F dt. So now if I put the value of the F here, so it becomes W is equal to Q times integration of V cross B. It is the cross product dot V dt. Now we can see that this vector V cross B is perpendicular to both V and the B. And if I make the dot product with another V, so it becomes 0. Because the V cross B is perpendicular to the V vector. So we can see that the magnetic field does no work on the moving charge particle. And from the work kinetic energy theorem, we can write that the power is the dw dt, the rate of change of the work done. So as the work done is 0, so the power becomes 0. The angle between, it is stated in the question, we need to find out that the angle. So the angle between the Lorentz force and the velocity of the particle is 90 degrees. Because the Lorentz force is both perpendicular to the velocity and the magnetic field. The Lorentz force changes the direction of the velocity but not the magnitude of the velocity. Hence the Lorentz force does no work, the magnetic force does no work and it do not alter the kinetic energy of the particle. So this is the main concept from the Lorentz force. Now this is the second problem. It states like a proton moves in a uniform magnetic field of strength 0.5 Tesla and the magnetic field which is directed along the x-axis. So the magnetic field has the magnitude of 0.5 Tesla and the magnetic field is directed along the x-axis. At initial time t is equal to 0, the proton has a velocity v vector. So you can see that the velocity has the two components, one is along I cap, another one is along the z axis. So the unit vector along z axis is a k cap. So velocity has this kind of expression. So we need to find this to answer. One is the at initial time, what is the acceleration of the proton, and the second one is the path is circular or the helical. If helical, calculate the ratio of helical trajectory and also calculate the pitch of the helix. So in my last video I have discussed what is the pitch of the helix. So now we can write that the magnetic field, you can see here that B vector is equal to 0.5 Tesla. It is in the directed in the x-axis, so the unit vector will be I cap. And the velocity of the particle has the expression V vector is equal to 1.95 times 10 to the 5 I cap. So this is along the x-axis and this is along the z-axis, 2.2 times 10 to the 5. So the force experienced by the proton, what it will be, F is equal to, we know the expression, F is equal to Q times V cross B. So if I put the value of the Q here, the proton has the charge of 1.602 times 10 to the minus 19 times, this is the expression of the V cross B vector is 0.5 I cap. So here I cross I becomes 0 and K cross I becomes J cap. So it becomes 1.602 times 10 to the minus 14 Newton and the force is acting along the j cap direction, along the y-axis. So now I need to find the acceleration of the proton. So from the Newton's law, we can try to find the acceleration, that is A vector is equal to F by m. So if I put the value of the F here, 1.602, the magnitude of the force here, 1.602 times 10 to the minus 14 divided by 1.67 times 10 to the minus 27. This is the mass of the proton. So we get the value of the acceleration, 9.58 times 10 to the 12 meter per second square. Now for the second part, we can write that the trajectory is helical because as I have discussed before that the V has the not acting in a single direction. So the velocity has one component parallel to B, the magnetic field, that is along I cap, and one component that is perpendicular to B, that is along K cap. So you can see this is the expression of the velocity here, 1.95 times 10 to the 5. This is the component along the direction of the magnetic field. This is along x-axis and this is along z-axis. So velocity has the two components, so the trajectory will be helical. And the radius of the helical path will be r is equal to the velocity component. I need to consider the velocity component that is perpendicular to the magnetic field. So this is Vz. So R is equal to, we have the expression of mv by bq, here v is equal to vz. Only the z component of the velocity we need to consider. So I put the value of m here, 1.67 times 10 to the minus 27. The z component of the velocity will be 2 times 10 to the 5 divided by b is 0.5 Tesla and q is 1.602 times 10 to the minus 19. So I get the radius of 4.18 millimeter. Again, we need to find for the helix, for the pitch of the helix, we need to find the time period also. So the time period has the expression of 2 pi m by bq. Here the m is 1.67 times 10 to the 27, the mass of the proton. The b has a value of 0.5 Tesla, q has the proton charge. So it becomes 13.1 times 10 to the minus 8 seconds. So the pitch of the helix, this is the formula of the velocity of the charge particle along the direction of the magnetic field. So we need to consider here only the x part, I mean the velocity component along the direction of the magnetic field. So it is Vx times t. So you can see this is the expression of the velocity. The x component is 1.95 times 10 to the 5. So if I put the value here, it becomes 25.5 millimeter. So you can see that the helix, the helix is very greater than the radius of the curvature. So the electron is accelerated in a huge time. So this is a third problem. You can see the question stated like, two singly ionized isotopes of uranium 235U92 and 238U92. So isotope means both the atomic number are the same but the mass number are the different, are sent with a velocity of 1 times 10 to the 5 meter per second. So you can see this is the direction of the velocity and the magnetic field is coming out of the plane. So it is directed here as a point and the magnetic field has a magnitude of 0.5 Tesla. So compute the distance between the two isotopes after they complete a semicircle. So in this point the two isotopes enter in the magnetic field and they will feel the Lorentz force and they will move in a circular direction. So two isotopes have their different trajectories. So I need to find, after completing one's complete semicircle, I need to find the distance between the two isotopes. Initially they were at the same position. And the masses of the two isotopes M235 is 3.9 times 10 to the minus 25 kg and masses of the uranium 238 that 3.95 times 10 to the minus 25 of kg. So as the isotopes are singly ionized, each one have the charge of plus 1 unit. So the charge what it will be 1.602 times 10 to the minus 19 of Coulomb. So for the uranium 235U92 we can calculate the radius of the semicircle. So R235, but it will be M235V divided by BQ. So if I put the values of the M235, V is the 1 times 10 to the 5, B is the 0.5 Tesla, Q is the 1.602 times 10 to the minus 19, we will get the value of the R235, that is 48.8 centimeter. So from along the diameter, what is the diameter value? I mean I need to multiply it by 2. So D235, what it will be 2 times R235. So it becomes 97.6 centimeter. Similarly, if I calculate the R238 for the 238U92 isotope, I will calculate the radius first. So it becomes M238 times V divided by BQ. So if I calculate it, it becomes 49.4 centimeter. Similarly, the diameter will be 2 times R238, that is 98.8 of centimeter. So now therefore the separation of the isotopes after completing one semicircle, what it will be, I need to calculate this D value. So after completing one semicircle, one isotope will reach here and the 238U92 will reach here. So I need to calculate the distance between them, that is the distance D, it is indicating here. So D will be 98.8 minus of, so D is the separation of the diameter, so it means 98.8 minus 97.6, that is 1.2 centimeter. And also I need to calculate the time taken by each isotope to complete one semicircular path. So the semicircular path will be pi r, I mean half of the total complete circle perimeter. So T235 what it will be pi r235 divided by v. So this is the velocity. So it becomes 15.32 microsecond, and T238 with the same expression of pi r238 divided by v, I will get the value of T238 to time taken for this isotope to complete one semicircular path, what it will be 15.51 microsecond. So initially they started the journey at the same time, but the time to take at the along the diameter of the semicircular path, they will take different times. So now we can see, although the difference in the masses of the isotopes are there and it is very small, but in this kind of arrangement, you can see, in this kind of arrangement, it helps us to convert the small difference of the masses into easily measurable distance of separation. And this kind of arrangement is known as the mass spectrometer. So this kind of arrangement is called the mass spectrometer. And a mass spectrometer is used in many areas of sciences, like especially in medicine and in the space sciences. So my friends, I am concluding my today's discussion here. If you are new in this channel, please do like, share and subscribe our channel and make your valuable comments in our video, in this video's comment section. Stay tuned and keep supporting Invisible Threads. Thank you.